fake non-duality teachers are the ones that are springing like mushrooms up all over the YouTube and Telegram, Instagram, and Shorts and everything. They're basically they're basically people or human beings that have had an experience of non-duality, but now they instrumentalize non-duality to boost their ego. For example, I just saw a woman. She receives like a thousand views, 2,000 views per video, and she was like, I had the awakening that for me it was personally it was such an this kind of thing. And you realize that the actual awakening, the actual non-dual nature of what we truly are hasn't really touched profoundly there is no real deep recognition. It's just a short experience and is being seen as an experience rather than the truth. And this happens a lot. So this happens a lot. So I tell you how this happens is you have an awakening experience, or no, you have like an awakening for a moment because you're always the beingness is always awakened. There is no non-awakened being. So there is the kind of the conditioned mind rests for a minute, and awareness becomes aware of itself. Okay? And then the mind again kicks in, judges what has happened as an experience, and it attaches itself to that experience. And now I am personally the person who has, awakened. It doesn't work like that. It's actually because the ego hasn't yet dissolved yet, or the recognition hasn't become permanent, that there's an instrumentalization of the experience of awakening by the ego or by the mind. And then that is instrumentalized, and people go then on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, and they start to post shorts about, how awakening has changed their life for them personally. And but you can definitely say that awakening changes a lot of things, but it's the question is how you talk about it. Is it the, oh my God, I'm personally, you're not being aware at that moment that the mind, the condition is actually speaking to you. And the jnani is really the the awakened being that is all the time aware of that which is speaking through this mouth is just something observed rather than the strong personal identification of the me that has awakened now. So, this is why I always say it's very hard to say I have awakened because it's not really the I, the true I, that has awakened. It is the conditioned mind that has subsided fully or partially because awareness has awakened to itself. So there is a very slight but profound difference. And that's why all of these mushroom kind of all these non-duality teachers that are popping up like mushrooms on the internet, they're not truly awakened. And I tell you where this is coming from, because they haven't actually awakened to the point where the fears in the root chakra, the fear of death, the fear of sustenance, of the physical body, the identification with the body hasn't been released yet. And it's actually still so strong that people feel the need, sometimes it's even the solar plexus, they feel the need for acceptance and they feel the need for uh, instrumentalizing the awakening for monetary gain. And um, this is what I also say Rupert Spira is a bit guilty of, kind of. I don't know. You cannot say really guilt, but he's not as awakened to have let go of that. Whereas Mooji and also Eckhart Tolle, uh, especially Eckhart Tolle, we know anecdotally that he completely lost the fear of death, uh, and by or through awakening. With Muji, I think also, I'm not sure 100%, but it seems like that. But Rupert Spira, I don't think so, because Rupert Spira made non-duality. He also instrumentalized it for um, purposeful teaching instead of almost incidental teaching. Um, and anytime there is an I, a personal I, that becomes the teacher, the awakening is not complete. The moment the personal I is like, okay, let's make this a business, the awakening is not complete. And I think that sums it up. The moment you make awakening a business, you haven't understood it. Or there is no true deep awakening. Um that sums it up in one sentence. So the moment you see anyone make it a business, it's not true awakening. It might lead naturally into a business if things become bigger, but it's the questions of how it started. And I do have to say though that Muji did take donations from the beginning. They had like they collected like 50,000 pounds or something like that before that was in a safe before they went to Portugal. So they did collect some money. I don't know if it was through donations or how this happened, but I don't believe that in the beginning he taught for money. Eckhart Tolle definitely didn't. Yeah. And that's that. That's those fake teachers. And you recognize it if you're fully awakened. You recognize it by the way they talk. You sense it. If you're not fully awakened, you usually don't sense it. You don't feel the power behind it. And some people say, "Ah, it's not important for everyone. There's someone, blah blah blah." I do think it's important because it's the same thing as it's even worse, I would say. There's so many fake shorts on the internet that people believe to be true, especially young teenagers believe to be true. And the same goes with non-duality. I mean, you're gonna have thousands and thousands of fake non-dual teachers, and I think it's important to point out who really is a master of non-duality. You could say master in the sense like the perfect mirror, the perfect reflection, which dissolves your ego. I don't speak Arabic. Sorry, I just received an Arabic comment. Uh, I just know Mia Bibi. I'm working on my Arabic. Um, Non-duality is something very personal, and I'm gonna explain what I mean by that. Awakening is something very personal because The beingness you are, with the mind conditioning everything together, is awakening to itself. And if it happens, you've been kind of chosen that it happens. You, as in this incarnation, you've been chosen in this incarnation for some reason that it happens. I have an idea, by the way, why it's happening, but we can talk about this on in another video. You're gonna like this. Um, so you've been chosen to that the body awakens in this our incarnation to its true source, and that happens to this body that is here right now. It's not happening to another body, and it's not something that you can influence in another body. It's just happening in this body, and that's it. And that's why I call it personal, because it's not like everybody around you is awakening at the same time. It's just not happening. So, since my awakening, or since the awakening, I haven't really met anyone who is also fully awakened. They're partial awakenings, kind of like, but the ego stays intact, and it's instrumentalized. It's usually the mind, the ego, thinking of what awakening is, and not the awareness awakening to the body, and the body to the awareness is just kind of like the conditioned mind awakening to the idea of awakening, you could say, almost, not the real awakening. And that's it's bizarre, but it comes from the lower chakra, from the fear of truly letting go. It seems like you're about to stop being awake. If we were talking about spiritual awakening, or you mean like sleeping? I just woke up. Um, it's early in the morning here in Europe. Then the idea is keys to exist. Yeah, the idea is keys to exist. Everything. There's no thoughts. And if there are thoughts, you just don't pay attention, because they're unimportant to the beingness you are. Very simple. It's not like just there are no concepts. It's not even, it goes much deeper than that. It's just you awakening to the self. You're not just letting go of concepts. You're truly awakening to who you are. Oh, you're about to go to sleep. Okay. The funny thing is, you know why it's funny? You have to take it with humor, because the awakened being cannot be not awake unless you're talking about the body. So it is like it's very funny. It's actually almost like an insider joke. It's like sometimes I say for fun, I did this with my ex-girlfriend. Oh my god, I think I'm stopping to exist. I think we should do more like non-duality humor. It's very fun. Oh my god, I think I'm starting to exist. Actually, that kind of humor reveals more about spiritual awakening than trying to make people awaken. I'm really gonna think really hard and then I'll just vanish, okay? I'll just use my thoughts to just vanish. I'll be really like intense right now. Oh my god, I'm vanishing. I'm vanishing. Exactly, Kosluf. There's no attachment anymore. Thoughts come and go, but the self remains the same. Yes, exactly. And so be aware of teachers that have exclusive non-duality, channels, and then they talk like, I personally feel like, s- it's something else when they live a normal life and they do their vlogging and so, but be careful about people who make specific non-duality channels, uh speaking about, how profound it is, and then at the same time have a strong, still conditioned identified mind with, you know there must be a clear difference. There must be a clear difference between the true realization of the self and the superficial activities of the mind. But the moment you mix those two as a spiritual truth, it shows that the awakening hasn't been complete. What do you think of Rupert Spira? I really enjoy his content. I don't know why I got there. YouTube brought me here. That's what I said about Rupert Spira. I don't believe he's fully awakened. I think he teaches from his root chakra. I think he has. You notice it by two things. It's very subtle, but I'm very good in reading body languages. You notice it that sometimes he gets anxious to respond quickly. So he sometimes interrupts people or tries, and he goes, he does that quite a lot, which also shows that instead of really soaking up the present moment and speaking from that, sometimes he like stumbles over his speech. So he's thinking quickly, and he wants sometimes to interrupt people. And um and I believe that it's not something that naturally develop. I don't think his satsangs develop naturally. I am not familiar with the very beginning. I'm familiar with the very beginning of Eckhart Tolle and Mooji, but not with Rupert Spira. From what I understand, he doesn't have like an entourage of people, like a team, that did it for him, like for Mooji or Eckhart Tolle. I think it was literally him deciding to do this, and that means that he comes from the root chakra. He wants to live off being a teacher, and that is exactly what I'm pointing to in this video. Is be careful about the egos or the minds that instrumentalize non-duality, and thereby, I don't know what it's called in English. There's a German word which is called, Übersprungshandlung. That means it's like doing something in order to avoid something else. And in spiritual awakening, this is very present. It's actually the place where it's most evident that you do something in order to not have to be in silence. So you become the teacher in order to not go fully into awakening. Well, I don't think no one is really awake. I mean, I wouldn't mean Kizing to exist. I don't mean to defend him or anything, but I don't think he's claimed to be awake. Phew, semantics. He's definitely a non-duality teacher trying to speak about the truth. And the thing is, like, you can pick unripe fruit, from the tree, but it's not really edible. And this is what Rupert Spira is doing. He's picking a lot of unripe fruits by his teachings, and it's not really edible. And while it might be interesting to some people, to calm their minds or something, it's not really the true master non-duality awakening where you keys to completely identify with everything and let go. Because the the student can only go so far as the teacher, basically, in non-duality, because to completely drop the identification Either it must be in your soul plan, then you don't even need the teacher because it's going to be so strong in you, like Ramana Maharshi or Eckhart Tolle. Or there's someone else, like with Mooji, it was Michael, you know, this Christian guy that kind of activated his awakening. I agree with you, what you, but I also think he makes a beautiful contribution. Well, every human makes a beautiful contribution in a way. Every human being, it doesn't matter what they do, because if we don't judge it, every contribution is beautiful or ugly or whatever. I mean, it doesn't have really a weight. But we're talking about the highest form of awakening, and that must be clean. It must be pure. That's why I'm saying these non-duality teachers that are popping up like mushrooms all over the place. It's not that they're doing something bad, you know. It's not like they're contributing just like Rupa Spira is. It's the same thing. But the question is, what's in your soul plan? Do you let yourself be guided? I mean, let's say you have. I mean, this is like an extreme example, but let's say you have a ship, a huge ship. Do you map yourself by navigating the ship by the biggest lighthouse with the biggest light, or are you gonna look for, people with candles? You're going to go with the biggest light so you navigate the ship correctly. Just as a joke, like it's not really the best example, but so you can use smaller lights, right? It's your decision, it's your soul plan. I'm just putting it out there. I'm not really judging in that sense. I'm just saying, hey, I'm putting it out there, and you make the decision. Depends on your soul plan. My soul plan is definitely the absolute truth, the highest truth. And that's why I've almost never listened to Rupert Spira. I did watch a couple of videos, maybe like 20. Never listened to it entirely, maybe one or two. And it just doesn't resonate the deep, deep, deep truth in me. It doesn't feel mystic. It doesn't feel very spiritual. It feels still pulled through the mind. Maybe a thinner pipe, but it's still pulled through the mind, rather than full awareness, full beingness, full presence. I do feel that with Muji the most. I do partially feel it with Eckhart Tolle, but Eckhart Tolle to me always feels like an opportunist in some way. Speaking about, manifestation and healing, and Oprah Winfrey and all of this stuff, it never felt to me. I like listening to Eckhart sometimes, but Muji definitely hits home. And it's not just a feeling. It's not like my personal preference. It's not just a personal preference. It's more than that. It's a question of authenticity. And but I'm not saying that as a human being, he doesn't have things which could be questioned from a social perspective. I don't read poems. I don't read anything because since awakening, there is no need for reading. Reading has completely gone away. So especially the kind of like reading that would give me more information. Um, I thoroughly don't enjoy reading because I just feel like the moment, it's the magic moment, like meeting someone by synchronicity, everything that's happening by synchronicity and not pulling anything through the mind anymore. Very exciting. Very, very, that's, it's not even exciting. It's like it has this hard based feeling to it. A book for me is dry. A book for me has no life. It's lifeless completely. But a plant, a human being, an animal, That's for me is life, and that's where I'm kind of at. Just as the TV has no life. Yeah. The live on YouTube is different because there we connect. Although we don't see each other, we connect. So there's some liveliness to it. And that's it for now.